A Brief History of Russia. From Kievan Rus to the Modern Federation. Russia's history is one of vast empires, cultural transformations, revolutions, and dramatic global influence. Stretching across 11 time zones, Russia's journey from a collection of Slavic principalities to a modern superpower is complex and multifaceted. Kievan Rus and the rise of Eastern Slavs, 9th–113th centuries. The story of Russia begins in the 9th century with the establishment of Kievan Rus, a federation of Slavic tribes under the leadership of the Varangians, Vikings who traveled through Eastern Europe. In 862, Rurik, a Varangian prince, founded the Rurikid dynasty in Novgorod. His successor, Oleg, moved the capital to Kiev, laying the foundation for the Kievan Rus state. Kievan Rus became a powerful trade and cultural center due to its position between the Baltic and Black Seas. The most significant moment came in 988, when Prince Vladimir the Great converted to Christianity and baptized his people in the Dnieper River. This event not only aligned Rus with Byzantine traditions, but laid the foundation of Russian orthodoxy. However, by the 12th century, Kievan Rus began to fragment into rival principalities, weakening its unity and making it vulnerable to invasion. The Mongol yoke and the rise of Moscow, 13th to 15th centuries. In 1237, Mongol forces led by Batu Khan invaded Rus's lands, establishing what became known as the Mongol yoke. Though the Mongols did not settle permanently, they extracted tribute and influenced the political structure of the region for over 2 centuries. During this period, Moscow, once a minor town, rose in prominence. By strategically aligning with the Mongols and defeating rivals, Moscow's princes, especially Ivan Myrmistrius, Ivan Moneybags, increased their power and wealth. The turning point came in 1380 when Dmitry Donskoy won a symbolic victory over the Mongols at the Battle of Kulikovo. In 1480, under Ivan III, Ivan the Great, Moscow officially cast off Mongol rule. Ivan III also centralized power, declared Moscow the Third Rome, after Rome and Constantinople, and began calling himself Tsar. The Tsardom of Russia and expansion, 16th to 17th centuries, Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, became the first crowned Tsar of Russia in 1547. His reign marked a turning point in Russian absolutism. He expanded Russia eastward into Siberia, but also ruled with terror, especially through the Oprichnina, a brutal internal security force. After his death in 1584, Russia entered a period of chaos known as the Time of Troubles, characterized by dynastic crises, famine, and foreign intervention. The crisis ended in 1613 with the election of Michael Romanov as Tsar, founding the Romanov dynasty, which would rule Russia for over 300 years. Imperial Russia and Westernization, 17th and 19th centuries. In the late 17th century, Peter the Great radically transformed Russia. After traveling to Europe, he implemented sweeping reforms to modernize the army, administration, and culture. In 1703, he founded St. Petersburg, which became the new capital and a symbol of Russia's window to the West. Under Catherine the Great, 1762 to 1796, Russia expanded further into Eastern Europe, Crimea, and the Caucasus. Though an enlightened despot, she reinforced serfdom and ruled during a time of increasing inequality. The 19th century saw the continued expansion of the Russian Empire, the largest contiguous empire in history. However, internally the empire struggled with backwardness. The serfs were emancipated in 1861 under Alexander II, but deep social problems remained. Revolution and the Soviet era, 20th century, Russia's failures in the Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905, and World War I revealed its weaknesses. Economic hardship, military defeats, and political discontent culminated in the February Revolution of 1917, which forced Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate. A provisional government took power, but it was overthrown in the October Revolution by the Bolsheviks, a radical Marxist faction led by Vladimir Lenin. The Bolsheviks established the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, which in 1922 became the dominant member of the newly formed Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. Under Lenin and later Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union underwent radical transformation. Stalin's rule, 1924-1953, was marked by rapid industrialization, forced collectivization, purges, and the creation of a totalitarian state. Millions died during famines and political repressions. During World War II, the USSR suffered enormous losses but emerged victorious against Nazi Germany. The war elevated the USSR to superpower status, initiating the Cold War with the United States, a geopolitical rivalry that lasted for decades. The post-Stalin era saw brief liberalization under Nikita Khrushchev, stagnation under Leonid Brezhnev, and reform attempts under Mikhail Gorbachev, who introduced glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. These reforms inadvertently hastened the collapse of the Soviet system. In 1991, the USSR was officially dissolved, and Russia emerged as an independent state under Boris Yeltsin, the first president of the Russian Federation. Modern Russia, 1991 to present. The 1990s were a time of profound economic hardship, corruption, and political instability. Russia transitioned from a state-controlled to a market economy, often chaotically. Oligarchs rose to prominence, and the state struggled to maintain control. In 2000, Vladimir Putin became president. He introduced a period of relative stability and economic recovery, backed by rising oil prices. However, his rule has been characterized by increasing centralization of power, restrictions on political freedoms, and a more assertive foreign policy. Under Putin, Russia has reasserted itself internationally. It was involved in conflicts such as the Second Chechen War, the 2008 war in Georgia, the annexation of Crimea in 2014, and a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, a war that continues to reshape global geopolitics. Domestically, Russia has evolved into what many analysts describe as an authoritarian or hybrid regime with controlled media, suppressed dissent, and state-managed elections. Cultural and scientific contributions. Despite political turmoil, Russia has made enduring contributions to global culture and science. The golden age of Russian literature produced giants like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Pushkin, and Chekhov. In music, Tchaikovsky and Stravinsky are world-renowned. In the 20th century, Russia was a leader in space exploration, launching Sputnik, the first satellite, and sending Yuri Gagarin, the first human, into space.